the computer. Now's your chance to leave. Yay, you're staying. This will be uploaded to our Facebook page, and I did the other night there upload our last year's one as well. It just only took 12 months, but hey, our 11 months. Anyway, so welcome, and thank you so much for taking time out on Mother's Day and a fine, beautiful sunny afternoon in Scotland. Can't say much about Canada, but maybe Karen can help us. So the reason why we're here today, my co-host is downstairs helping mum with the biryani, because I'm supposed to do that, but she's my daughter's actual like substitute here right now. We're here because next week is the Kickstarter of Autism Acceptance Month, which I think we all agree here should really, which was internationally known as Autism Awareness. And then I'm very sure in this day and age, people are aware that autism exists. It's more of the problem of not being accepting of it, particularly autistic people. And then that just feeds in because of the lack of understanding and the crazy number of myths that we have. We will add lots and lots of links in the comment section, either during or after the live, and on our YouTube page as well, so that people can look up resources. A couple, you're most welcome to mention as you go along. Different Minds is one I'm going to put up. I think here's a challenge. We're all going to put up different resources, okay? And we're not allowed to double anybody else's resource. So mine is Different Minds, outside Minds, and I'll put it on the chat. I would like you to all, let's go from the furthest to the nearest. Okay, so furthest is Karen, our guest. Then it's Marion, and then Laura, who's nearer to me. And I actually have met, well, actually I've only met 2 of you in person. I'll hand it over to Karen.
Good stuff. Thank you so much, Sophia. Pleasure to be here, and pleasure knowing you. And although we haven't met in person, I feel like we know each other so well. And I think that's the brilliance of the internet, right? And how the community is really using it. So I'm Karen Tim. I am a leader, an advocate, an educator. I work as a school administrator in Ontario, Canada. And I'm the founder of a group called the Neurodivergent Infinity Network of Educators, which I know you are a part of. And I'm so happy that we went global when we started inviting friends like you to our group. So honored that you are part of that. And, you know, and my pronouns are she, her. I'm just here by invite, so I really appreciate the invite. This is our first official event related to the Intersectional Infinity Summit that the 9 is running, which has started today and launched today. So a pleasure to be here. And oh, I have to always say, and most importantly, Mum.
Thank you so much. I don't know when I actually became part of 9, or should I say me and my son here, he just kind of helps himself into everything. And I think other ladies will know as well, and you get to know my work that I do online is like I've got a +1 kind of, you'll have Among Us, the little minion that follows Among Us. He's mine. Wherever I am, whatever work I'm doing, particularly stuff about autism or ADHD, you'll see him behind me, just like trying to roll around and just be the one who's the main character. So, Laura, no, not Laura, sorry, Marion, you're up next.
Okay, hi. Thank you so much for having me along. My name is Marion McLaughlin. I am the CEO at Autism Understanding Scotland, and we believe I'm probably the first autistic CEO of an autism charity in Scotland, which we think is really, really cool. Thank you. We started out as a tiny wee organisation just 4 years ago. We had our 4th birthday last week, and we've grown from being a little 2-hour-a-week service to a full-time service where we're employing 3 people full-time, 2 people part-time. We're just about to take on some other folks as well. We largely do a load of work for people who are local to us in Aberdeen, in the Aberdeenshire area. We're starting to do a little bit more in Shetland, and we're increasingly doing more and more work all across Scotland. And I think that this time of year is a really, really tricky one for a lot of us who are autistic because of a lot of the different messages that go around. We sometimes joke in our office that it's Autism Bewareness Month. Beware, there's autistic people around. So it's so important that we have this opportunity to come together and talk about our lived experiences, talk about our professional experiences, and talk about what it really is like to be neurodivergent and try and really do something to flip that narrative. So any opportunity that we have to do that, I'm all over it. So thank you so much for having me along today.
Sorry, I'm trying to work my sister's laptop here, and these things just keep popping up left and right. Like this is why I don't use laptops. Anyway, to Laura.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sophia. Thank you very much for your invitation. My name's Laura Bilton. My pronouns are she, her. I have been an anti-racism advocate in Scotland for a very, very long time through a lot of different channels, through dance, through poetry. I'm a member of Black Lives Matter in Scotland. And also, if you are a person of colour in Scotland, you have to be an anti-racism advocate, whether you like it or not. I am also a parent of at least one autistic child diagnosed so far, but very likely two. I am a late diagnosed ADHD autistic person myself. I got my diagnosis last year. And what was very disappointing to me was when I started to come into autistic spaces and autistic organisations, I found a real lack of any sort of ethnic diversity amongst those spaces. And I would come to organisations and sort of ask, oh, you've got an LGBT space, which is fabulous. You've got a women's space, and that's great. Do you have like a Black and minority ethnic space? And the answer I would overwhelmingly get was, oh no, we don't need one. We've never been asked about it. Maybe in the future. And I thought, what future? Like, so then I worried, like, where are the Black and Asian and minority ethnic autistic people? Because autism affects all communities equally. You know, it should be the big equalizer. So where are the barriers to being able to access these kind of spaces? And through that, I've obviously met Sofia, and we are just in the process of launching our Scottish Ethnic Minority Autistics Organisation, SEMA, it's called, SEMA. Yeah. we're both very busy with other things, but we thought, why not just add to our workload? In my professional experience, I've worked with disabled people for about the last 9 years under various sort of job titles. I'm ADHD, so I find it hard to stay in the same place for very long. So my learning has been broad, shall we say, to kind of that's how I learn. I need to learn in a lot of categories to understand how things relate to each other. So yeah, I'm always very, very interested in making sure that anti-racism is always kept on the table, because while no oppression is good and no oppression is more important than others, anti-racism and racism tends to be so insidious. You know, although there are laws to prevent it, there has been, in my opinion, actually quite little forward movement done in anti-racism globally and also in Scotland. And so just making sure that somebody's always there beating the drum for anti-racism, that's why I like to join spaces like these. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We can't talk about neurodiversity and advocating for neurodiversity and the acknowledgement of how different and beautiful the whole world race is without mentioning race in there. To be pro-neurodivergent is to be anti-racist, and that's a common method, and that's what I think after this 1 year, last 2 years of journey of the growth of Al-Masar, I think we've got to that point where we can't separate that, because we do a lot of anti-racist and race equality work, and working, that's how me and you met, isn't it, Laura? And then the way I met Marion as well was the autism spaces and pushing for better understanding government level and local level of the autistic experience. So I'm glad that I can mash that all up very happily here, work with Laura to set up SEMA. The Facebook page is sorted out. We've got a lot to go, a big journey here, but we will be part of 9. because it's international, and we also definitely be part of Autism Understanding because of the amount of resources and experience that they have that we need as well. But anyway, going on to our discussion here. Well, I haven't actually remind you folks about myself. 2022 is, 21, sorry, this past year has been, as my daughter would say, like the Pokemon, collect them all. I have had my ADHD diagnosis, my autism diagnosis, mirrors Erlene, so my orange lashes are at home, and dyspraxia. So that's 4 so far. I don't know if there's any more there, but I think I'm exhausted, and I think that I am very much well understood by myself, which is the most important thing. Is I've learned this past 1 year how to understand how my brain works and what my limitations and what my strengths, because without that, then I wouldn't be able to do all the work that I am doing right now, but I'm actually pretty exhausted. Again, just like Laura just said, the ADHD brain does not know when to stop. We just keep doing, and we just think that we've got like 40 hours in one day, don't we? It's like, no, it's an autistic and ADHD conundrum. But you know what? That's what makes us more beautiful, and that's what makes the world beautiful and where it is today. It really does. And I will keep chiming in, Karen, that document, that auto collab. That, oh no, sorry, that's my resource. I've said it now. Ha, I've said it. You can't see it now. So any resources that you do ping out, please put them on the chat there, or let me know and I'll put them on the chat. Well, that's another resource, the autocollab.org. I don't know if that's the right website for it, but they're amazing with the work that goes on in there, and it is quite eye-opening and inspiring, the reflections that they have. The one that I'm talking about is about the evolution of human empathy. I looked at that and I'm like, this needs to be translated in every language in the world, and sign language and braille and just audio and everything. It just needs to be translated every way possible. So okay, next bit. This is where my sister kind of jumps in and helps me. Nope, it's the other one. Anywho, right, let's go back. Let's go reverse. Laura, your experiences you've just mentioned there, kind of about where your journey is at being autistic. Where do you think, like, you've said, I don't know, what else would you like to add to the discussion? Because I'm just having like a blank moment here. The way we run this is before, past, present, future kind of semi-structured format with our topic. So I'll let you go next. I'll let you just take over because I think my brain's a wee bit mush right now.
Yeah, when we were talking about intersectionalism, I actually did a bit of research about what does that term mean and the origins of it. So maybe as we all settle in, I can just have a little discussion about what actually intersectionalism is, because some terms like intersectionalism or like critical race theory, they cause so much hysteria, and people don't actually know what they are, and they become extremely negative. It's certain parties, generally, certain groups that use this hysteria for clicks, for confusion, to try and gain power. So intersectionalism was a term that was actually coined in 1989. So a long time ago by Kimberly Crenshaw, and it was really looking at it as a legal term, and it was looking at some legal cases. There, I'm going to share that's my resource. I will share Kimberly Crenshaw's paper, original paper that first talked about intersectionalism, and it was looking at 3 legal cases where it said the law is not equipped to look at multiple marginalization. So it can look at sex discrimination and it can look at racial discrimination, but it cannot look at the two of them together in the law in America. And that means that laws are not enough to end discrimination, because people experience discrimination differently depending on their sort of group that they are part of. So a Black woman will experience life differently from a white man or a disabled person or a trans person. We all experience disability differently. So the law can't actually capture our experiences. So, and that's really what it was. It was just putting out this paradigm in a sort of legal tense. But unfortunately, the right kind of grabbed hold of this and became really unhappy about it, because what they thought intersectionalism means, or what they have interpreted it, or how they report it, is that it's the same power structures that we see, the same imbalances. They thought it meant essentially turning that on its head. So the people who are at the bottom, the most marginalized, the most vulnerable, the most at-risk groups, put them on top. So essentially they said, so this just puts the able-bodied cis white men at the bottom. And so there was a lot of pushback on that, where people were saying they didn't recognise that what is equity and what is inequality. They thought to try and normalise these power imbalances, it meant taking away something. And it doesn't mean that. It means giving people, you know, if you're starting back in the race of life, it's saying you need more to be able to get to the same starting point as everybody else. But actually, intersectionalism says, let's just get rid of the race. There is no race. We don't want anybody to have to compete for the same resources. We don't want to just perpetualize these power imbalances and shift around who goes where. We want to get rid of that. And intersectionalism is a means to disrupt these power imbalances. So yeah, for some people, equity actions can feel like oppression, which is not the case, because privilege, of course, is an invisible thing. You can't feel it, it doesn't exist, or you're not aware of it, even though it exists. So yeah, that's kind of where I wanted to just start that about intersectionalism. And please, Karen or Marion, if you'd like to add something, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, thank you for that, Laura. I think a really great place to start, and tied to what's been said already about the lack of representation within the autistic community too. I think that's what I really noticed when I was really getting into understanding what was going on in different places in the world in the autistic community and otherwise neurodivergent, and that there was in many spaces online divisiveness, because there's those layers of privilege exist in the general population, but certainly also within the group.
Karen's frozen. So just, yeah, Karen, that's frozen. Yeah.